For once, I decided to keep my Discord open since I usually just close it for whenever I stream games. But today's I guess kind of an exception. But that's not the point of the stream today. The point of the stream today is to discuss some new ideas for anime games. Ideas different from the current anime games that we have now. So, the reason why I wanted to make this discussion, mainly because not really a lot of experimentation with different ideas for anime games, since usually with anime games these days they always focus on the RPG aspect and just mainly just attacking shit and all that, which it's not a problem. Just seems to be pretty saturated with all that uh, in the anime gaming sphere these days. Since it's mainly just RPG and fighting, and none of the and also story based for the most part. And then pretty much the gotcha system, which I pretty much loathe that shit with a passion. A decision that I question so many anime game companies for, and why they even do that to begin with. Especially with playable characters, not so much as support characters that you just add on and you don't play as them, you just use them for buffs. So, I guess I'll start off with one idea that I've been thinking of for a while. An anime game. Well, I'm gonna borrow a little bit from my AOW SCS video a bit, which I may just post here if I feel like it. But an idea for one anime game in particular. An anime, no, a proper survival game, survival open world, if you will, but using an anime character that you've customized from scratch and then using them to play set open world survival game, either with a story or make your own story, like with Minecraft or The Forest, for example, or even Sons of the Forest, since they're both related. But also, do not add a gotcha system, because I feel like a gotcha system to that game. Well, what I mentioned already, that would be pointless to add in that game. And that would just open the door to predatory microtransactions. So, how I'm thinking this would work, like, you go in, you're sent to a character customization section, like with most games. But of course, the character customization don't limit certain things like the breast, like the breast, thighs, and all that. If you're playing as a female character, if you're playing as a male character, well, I mean, not really much to do to customize them. Either you want to make them fat, skinny, or muscular as hell. But that's really it for the male part of the customization. The female part is really where the true customization should be, in just customizing your female character the way how you want, without any limitations, which is what I've also discussed in my AOW SCS video. Just avoid limiting certain customization on specific parts. Shit, if anything, do what Zoe has done. That game where it allowed you to customize your own Zoe character. Although almost limited in certain aspects, so that needs to be worked on. Pretty much the customization of Enzoy and the customization of League of Maidens bring that into this survival game. So then, when you finish your character, done, boom, you just automatically start, or you're automatically put into this, let's say like a forest and such, or you just pretty much do the basics of your typical survival game. Go gather resources, wood, build yourself a shelter, etc., etc. As to drive the story forward, since I did mention this would be like an open world survival game, maybe, I guess, collect items that play a role in the story progression. Like random pieces of paper with notes on them, items like videotapes or cassettes, just anything with some information in them to have players piece together and see what's going on the island. I'm essentially bringing in the forest a little bit in this idea. But do this, how you choose to accept this information and what you decide to do moving forward, that would be up to you. I envision like different endings for this, but also also be able to just continue playing the game even after completing the story. Maybe like introduce just post end game stuff like you do in Minecraft or Satisfactory, in which I also envision like just a game like that would be getting normal consistent updates, even if it takes like a few months, but of course keep the fans informed that they're still working on the game, instead of just being silent to them and then them not receiving an answer, which leads to the trust being tested in the long run. Like with a certain game that I've been hearing about lately, that's being tested on its trust. Well, make that two games that I know recently that are being tested on their trust. One of them, the fans are already convinced that the game is just not going to do well. And then with the way how it's been updating, it just made the fans lose faith in its future updates. Although it did deliver a major update lately, but it was just for the creative mode. It was just for the creative mode aspect of that game, and not like a proper major update. Specifically, to be blunt, I'm talking about scrap mechanic, in which the devs just like to be secretive of what they want to announce. But considering its history of taking a while to actually let the fans know and to update their game, and then not to mention their post saying that they'll release Chapter 2 in 2024, but obviously they lied, and right there that damaged the trust of the player base. Although the modding community definitely will keep them engaged, but yeah, the damage that was done from the devs, that definitely hurts, and it just leads to a lot of speculation if the game is still alive or not. But back on topic, yeah. So create your character. You're put into a survival situation. You just do your basic survival stuff as you also collect some info or whatever items you happen to find. And then as you progress further and further in that concept, you'll eventually stumble upon a point where a decision you make would impact the way how the game continues, and then it would determine what ending you get based on the decision that you've made. I wanna I wanna also say that you can also try to develop a civilization, but I think I'll bring that up for a different concept for an anime game next. And right now I'm just typing what I've discussed in the chat, just for reference later, and then also put it on the notepad here, just so I can uh, conclude the stream when I'm about to finish. There we go. Okay, so speaking of civilization development, I need to go clear my throat. Okay. Yeah, so second idea, still continue to bring the ability to to make a custom made character, but put them in uh, a colony simulation type game where, yeah, you have your standard run of the mill colony survival logic. But instead of using like procedurally generated characters, you can just make some custom made characters, or you can just have like a default custom, or just have a bunch of default characters do some mundane things, while you use your custom made characters to do like the more important or vital task in your colony as you develop it. And welcome in Nox. Welcome to the conversation. Yeah, right now I'm talking about a second idea for an anime game. Just trying to avoid bringing in any of the typical stuff you see in an anime game. Yeah, that's definitely what that's definitely what I would like to see in a new idea for an anime game. And the same for what I'm for this idea that I'm talking about now of an anime colony sim game. But you can use custom made characters to manage your colony and such. No, fuck, yeah, no, fuck that. Just zero tolerance for gotcha with the ideas that I'm talking about here. Hence why I'm doing this stream. Yeah, my ideas for anime games, they have zero tolerance for gotcha. But back on topic, yeah, so colony sim, custom characters, they build your society, you can just you're basically the mayor and such. Uh you're you're not a custom made character, you're just basically not exactly God, but you're pretty much like the mayor of the colony, trying to make sure that it's been managed well and that supplies remain high. Although a bit more toned down than compared to like your average colony sim, but just the right balance of difficulty. And then have different difficulty levels if you want to try it. If you want it to be more challenging. With like let's say random natural disasters or disease or something. Obviously, no politics in that game, unless you're talking about Frostpunk, especially its second version where politics is used a lot to manage your civilization in those games. But not for this game idea. I don't want to include politics in there. Like your character is not the main hero, but more like an adventurer in the mix where your efforts. Well, that's well for this idea, essentially, yeah, but except it's a colony simulation. Although although some colony simulations do have random events where the decisions you make could change the way how the game moves forward. So perhaps let's see, for buildings, you know, your standard food, shelter, water, etc., etc. But you also get to build like the fun buildings, you know, the types that you rarely ever see built in most colony sim games. Because colony sim developers are too chicken to add them in. Like, you know, brothels. Frostpunk has that. Or essentially, your run-of-the-mill red light district stuff that you rarely ever see in colony sim games, apart from Frostpunk. I would like to I would like to put the option of like if you're one of those players that don't enjoy that stuff, you can just turn that off. But if you are the type of player that just doesn't give two shits and wants to experience the game in full, then keep the adult stuff on. I would imagine like a setting for that game concept where it's just basically called adult mode. You have that on, and yeah, let your imagination go wild. But if you like to turn that off, then yeah, you're just basically playing like essentially. I would put it roughly 65% of what the game can offer. I would imagine that game concept would definitely bring in some DLCs for like, new buildings and uh, a new quest, like an explicit mode like the one in Baldur's Gate 3 or essentially, yeah. That way you can just keep the Twitch moderators happy and not freak them out like squeamish little children. I'm pretty sure that option would work the same way if there was even a streamer mode. Because streamer mode and adult mode, they're essentially the same thing. Just basically, well, depends on how that streamer mode works for certain games, but most of the time streamer mode is just the same as adult mode where where the game just self-censors itself to avoid any TOS related problems. I would talk about an idea for an anime shooter game, but that already exists. Strenova, which pretty much is basically an anime shooter game. But you get to turn into paper to avoid bullets. Also, I'm typing out these ideas in the chat and then also adding them to my notepad, just so I can explain what I've talked about in the end. There it is. Just TLDR, basically, what I've just said. Yeah, so just to repeat again, zero tolerance for gotcha with these anime game ideas. Because you don't want to encourage gambling addiction, especially with the especially with what gotcha games do nowadays, just increase the chance of a gambling addiction from happening. Okay, on to the next idea. Again, I won't mention anime shooting games because it already exists. Stranova, for example. I mean, some anime games, they already have like some moments of goofiness, but like they don't do it as much, only in like certain scenes of anime games, like with the Zenless Zone Zero, for example. It has its goofy moments, but what if you've elevated that to maximum? Like just the whole, like a whole anime game that's just goofy in nature and has like a good sense of humor. Hmm. Switch. Although, to be fair, the good sense of humor, it is subjective with anime games on what determines as good sense of humor. Like a witty one-liner or a haha gotcha moment. Trying to think of another idea. Hmm. Okay. One. Here's another one. This one involving the use of creating your own maid characters, essentially creating your harem of maids that essentially explore like this dungeon where they try to find valuables for you, and then you use those valuables to improve them, in which they have better gear to explore the dungeons in the most harshest environments you can think of. But you also get to treat them right. I guess Horizon Walker would be a good example, but accepts the characters in that game, they're basically agents that serve a human god, as far as I understand. But this game idea, you basically, and I'm bringing back the concept of customizing your main character, details and everything, depending on your preference, no limits, and after you've finished making their body, you can, well, essentially start out with a preset made outfit, but I guess later on you can customize the outfit that you'd like from what you've unlocked, or you find a certain, let's just say, module that has like a little what's a good symbol to use for customization? Put let's just say like an energy module that has like the symbol of a sewing machine. Use that, and you can make your very own maid outfit. Could be sexy looking, could be modest, modern, Japanese. Essentially, let your ideas go wild in the way in your own type of in the way how you envision your own type of maid outfit being worn, and keep it detail oriented. Essentially, have it be more of like a like how, let's say, essentially how you customize your character in the Vroid Studio, but instead of just the characters after you finish customizing them, it's with their outfits. And then also try to keep it simple enough to customize certain parts of the maid outfit by having like different sections, like of course how you have different sections in the character customization in most games, but not just with the character itself, but with their outfits. Do that with like a custom made outfit module, and then save it as a preset to switch that outfit to your maid that you've created. Here's a fun part. Also, include buffs onto the maid outfits, and even onto your custom made ones too. And the buffs can be found in these dungeons as the maids explore them, well, without dying. But once they stumble upon, let's say, like a random chest or that little crack in the wall that might reveal something premium, you have that as like a chance to discover buffs that you can apply to your maids after you've completed the dungeon, and apply them on upon completion. Either have them applied automatically, or don't apply them automatically and then take your time to apply them to a maid that you want to have that ability. As for weapons, well, you either want to go melee or long distance. So your typical sword, javelins, guns, bow and arrow. Pretty much the standard weapons that you'd see in most anime games, period. And of course, essentially any maid can use these weapons. Like, you give them a gun, don't know how to use it. You give them a sword, don't know how to use it. Essentially, the point being that the maids have been trained to use any kind of weapon at their disposal. no matter which one you go with. And I'm guessing the way how this will work, like they'll go in and then they'll do the job. Kind of want to make it like a turn-based thing, but it'll just be automatic. It'll just be them automatically attacking enemies. And I guess, well, actually, no. They encounter enemies, they go to them, and then they automatically start attacking without you doing anything. They just do the work. But when you guide them through the dungeon, you pretty much guide them and take them to random parts of the dungeon to collect stuff. So I guess right there, uh, a a maid dungeon game where you make your maid to take into a dungeon and a few more per se. Take them in, have them go and collect resources and fight enemies, which they probably be all the enemies themselves. I would have mentioned like these dungeons, they've been basically turned into crypts, and then enemies just and then the enemies are just more of like deformed versions of animals, humans, and beast. And it's up to your mates to go and deal with them with the most brutal of force, with whatever weapon you give them. I guess what I could also add is like uh not like secret items, but like random items you find, more for like collectibles rather than achievements. And then I guess to keep the game interesting, like introduce like holiday events or like game ex or like game specific events that are related to what you discover in the game. Yeah, I'd say more like holiday type events would work out. And then after the dungeon's done, obviously your mates would take damage and such. You would probably need to have them rest. As for the spots to have them rest, well, since it is an anime game after all, put them in like a sauna. No, not sauna. Uh, a hot water bath, uncensored, of course, but also include that adult mode option to turn off if you want to avoid TOS bullshit. Essentially, just being able to appreciate what you created. As for the limit of how many characters you can create, I guess it just would depend on how the game is developed. Like if you want to run smoothly without any stuttering or lag, I guess definitely set a limit. But I guess if you want to keep it unique, I'd okay. Let's say yeah, you're customizing them all, but you don't want to have too many. I guess I guess minimum. I guess you would like have like a minimum of say 6 maids, and then like the max that you can create. Let's say put it at 20 maids maximum, unless unless like an update would change that to increase the maximum amount of maids you can have. I guess also probably also incorporate what Zenless has done. Your mates working together based on the buffs that you put on them, which would help amplify another mate's damage or support the maid's squad throughout their dungeon exploring. As for like the way to upgrade them, I would only see you collecting a certain type of item to upgrade them, rather than utilizing a shit ton of coins to pay for the upgrades. Really give you a reason to go and explore the dungeons more and more to make your maids powerful. Essentially, the way how I envision this game, I would envision it more like a Deep Rock Galactic, except that you're not going in to mine for minerals. You're just basically going in there to basically do what a maid usually does: clean up, clean up and organize. Except that they get to take back some loot that they found in there, as these crypts work differently as they randomly generate stuff. As for the crypts themselves, I imagine like let's let's put it at let's put it at like 5 different crypts, each one a unique atmosphere and a unique design to them. And you would have to think differently on how you would explore these crypts while trying to keep your maids alive and not take too much damage in the process. And one last thing to add to this idea, for the maids themselves, like to express themselves. Let's see. Well, I did bring up uh the hot water bath. Make them your personal plaything, maybe. A semi-dungeon crawler with PvE elements. Yeah, essentially that's what I'm going for in Nox. I'm trying to type out this idea thoroughly with what I've just discussed. I feel like there should also be an option where you can go back to modify your maid some more. Maybe like find a certain item in the dungeon that will allow you to uh modify your maid by just redeeming a certain item, and then you can change their body and everything again. Custom custom make your very own made waifus and into crypts filled with what did I say? Not corrupted, deformed. There we go. Third idea. Yeah, when I yeah, pretty much when I made my AOWSCS video, I basically said at the end that I challenge any game developer to create this idea into for wit or to bring the idea that I mentioned in that video to life of an anime open world survival crafting simulation. The challenge is still out there, just no anime game studio has attempted to do that yet. Although maybe in this decade that might be possible. Assuming that they'll do it. Who knows? And if they do, they'll probably just add another gacha system to that game, which would just be a pain in the ass to deal with. Essentially, it's just a cancer. If they try to do that with that concept of adding a gacha system to the game. Even worse if you try to make characters that players want, but force them to have to gamble to get them. Which is why I did not bring up gacha with these ideas at all. If there even is like an anime game developer that can resist putting gacha in their games, then that'd be great. Mainly indie developers can do that. If you rely on a big company developer, then they will easily resort to gacha quickly. Mainly because they just need that money. And if they don't implement gacha, then they just die, sadly. Whereas with indie devs, they rely on the support of their fans. And, well, mainly what most indie devs do, they already have like their own financial backing with Patreon and such, so they won't have to worry about finances to pretty much push forward the game that they want to sell. which is why certain indie games have done so well over the years. Even games from the past that had outlived their own time, which they still continue to be discussed to this day. I feel like this genre of anime games, or no, this already exists, but anime anime uh anime ladies, but they just basically step themselves until they become big and fat, which that genre of games already exists under a term called weight gaming. Which I'm not complaining. I mean, the more the merrier. But of course, I can understand why some people would find that disgusting. Which I can understand that they're not going to be comfortable with that since they're used to to anime ladies being pretty and skinny. But I'm not judging, since I've been interested in that stuff myself for years. So yeah. Okay, next idea. More of an anime game, but it focuses on Japan's Edo period. But instead of like the way how it's been shown in history, obviously with anime ladies, but it basically talks about the story of the red light district, which that's obviously going to be an 18 plus game. There's no way around it to make it a mature game. It's definitely going to be 18 plus, which that's obviously not going to be allowed on certain streaming platforms. Only the ones that will actually allow adult content, like a Picarto, for example, or any of the adult streaming websites. But yeah, this idea in particular, basically, you're set in the Edo period of Japan before the rise of Emperor Meiji, the guy who basically unified all of Japan and set up the emperor system. Oh, who's this? Noah Lover Ruby 1102. Yeah, welcome on in, and thanks for the follow. Right, so back to what I was talking about. And also welcome on in. We're just talking anime game ideas. That I feel like should start to exist more often. And I've been keeping track of these ideas with a notepad file that I've just been copy pasting my ideas before I reply them in the chat. Oh, another one. Oh, no, that. Oh no, that was me. I accidentally pressed the spinning arrow. Alright, so yeah, so you you're basically how could I put this? Not exactly like an engineer, but like an early a young early entrepreneur of that would play a vital role in the birth of Japan's red light district industry. Essentially, like a young Japanese entrepreneur, male or female, that has the highest ambition of basically building and giving birth to the industry that is the red light district of Japan's adult industry from the Edo period. So I guess this is how this would work. You would hire you would hire some workers that build these buildings, starting with a brothel, of course, and then you're working your way towards explicit material to sell to customers to generate income that would be fed back to the district, and then you continue developing it further and further. And since how I'm describing this, and yeah, this will be 18 plus, so or put it like 28, 21 plus, since everything's uncensored. No mosaics, no clouds, no blurry image. Everything's exposed. But yeah, you basically generate capital to build up the district as you also play a story in which involves you developing the district further and further into this adult mecca of Japan's Edo period. And I would imagine the story goes, it would start off in the Edo period, uh, you as the entrepreneur, but you will evolve within the generations that come after the Edo period, all the way to pretty much the 21st century, where the red light district evolves through the periods as you, the young entrepreneur, evolves and passes it on to the next generation, one after the other. So, Edo period, the Meiji Restoration, the Imperial era, basically Japan, between the early 20th century all the way to 1945, the Cold War, or I guess Cold War era Japan, following the advent of World War II, and then the late, and then the post Cold War era, essentially the 90s, all the way up to the contemporary era, which was pretty much the 90s onwards to today. Although it would be split there because it would be the first contemporary era, which would be the 90s all the way to all the way to the 2010s, and the second contemporary era would be the 2020s onward, post COVID. But as you see fit, also one thing to note: red light district still keeps going despite bankruptcies and all that in which you have to manage. And then it's typical for 18 plus games to have like twists and turns that fuck you over in the process. This idea, it does not have that. But essentially, if a business dies in the red light district, it's just basically given to a new owner that will do the job better and more efficient as you enter the next era of the red light districts. So you could see there how the story would evolve with each era of Japan's adult industry history leading up to today. So many events would occur as you evolve the red light district with from the Meiji Restoration all the way to let's see. I guess current day, but like not including any of the real life counterparts of the current day. It's just basically showcasing the red light district with current day Japan and how it looks. So I guess that's my idea there for like an 18 plus version of an anime game. And yeah, strictly keep the characters as adults. Otherwise the game would be incredibly controversial to release. As for like prominent figures or people to include in this game, I'd say do like a parody version of them, just to have that legal reason of if the characters and environment of this game is coincidental or some shit like that that they usually put in those warnings. Just to avoid, I guess, some fucking liability or whatever. Of, hey, this looks like X person, what the hell? A red light district building and simulation game that takes place during the Edo period of Japan and moves forward to the 21st century. A red light district building and simulation game that takes place during the Edo period of Japan and moves forward to the 21st century. As U.A. How do you spell entrepreneur? Entrepreneur. Okay. a red light district build. I know. I forgot to mention the 18 plus part. Okay, an 18 plus adult game set in the red light district building. And okay, that does make sense. Let me rephrase that. Okay, an 18 plus adult game set in the red light district during the Edo period of Japan and moves forward to the 21st century as you, a young entrepreneur, will not only build this industry from the ground up, but establish the birth of the adult industry of Japan before reunification under the Meiji Restoration. There we go. There's the fourth idea. So let me take a look at this new followers channel for a moment. Okay. It's been a while since I last heard that follower notification sound. Oh, in case if you're wondering, I am going to turn this into a YouTube video soon. So once I'm done and I have this VOD uploaded to YouTube, I will turn into like a main channel video soon. Since the anime gaming scene needs some proper fresh ideas and move away from like the typical way of developing anime games for sure. Although I have seen some that have moved away from that and introduced some fresh ideas into the scene. Like there's this one game from South Korea that involves like a little anime lady that runs like a food wagon, and she goes on adventures and fights enemies and collects ingredients to make food with. It's an interesting concept. I have the game wishlisted, but I haven't tried it out yet. I'm thinking I might give it a try live on stream soon, but we'll see. The ideas are there, but you just need the developers to actually bring them to life. Innovate, essentially, like Apple did back in the 70s and 80s. Essentially, innovate. Pretty much essentially just think outside the box or think of something that hasn't existed but people haven't seen yet. Whether it fails or does well. It's the reason why ideas exist. Let's see. I know there's already like VTuber based games, mainly ones from like Hololive and such that already exist. But it's mainly like focused on some 8-bit shit that I couldn't care less about. And also, you notice how I didn't even mention like school-based concepts for these game ideas. Notice how I did not even mention once anything related to school settings, which is what I want to avoid as well, or which I want to avoid as well as not using the gotcha. So essentially zero tolerance for both gotcha and school related settings for these anime games. The same with anime, like the school genre's just been so fucking overused. Basically. Which is why you also see it with otaku groups a lot. Another idea, but basically this one involves cars, not driving them, but manufacturing them. Since you, or let's like with, okay, let's with Japan for example, you know, there are car brands like Toyota, Honda, all that, and then Korea with Kia and Hyundai, and then China, I don't know what the fuck they make for cars, and I couldn't care less. Let's see. Maybe like tell a story about the birth of the car industry in Asia, either with Japan or South Korea, or have no, it'd be more like a car building simulation game at that point, or which I don't think I see much of a need for anime characters to be in there. Although as like NPCs, but like not like really customizing them. I'm thinking as more of like you essentially with the idea that I discussed last, like it has like an evolutionary shift where you give birth to the automobile industry in Asian countries like Japan and Korea. But let's do it more with like Japan since they've established themselves a long time ago before Korea got into the car making industry. And I say Japan because it was the only developed country at the time that was able to make its own vehicles. Let's see. Kind of feel like that this idea would involve a little bit of drama, just a little bit, at least to drive the story forward. But it doesn't have to. Right. I'm pretty sure you might have seen these commercials a lot from Honda Knox, but you know those like blue collar people that help people out uh in those like Honda commercials. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how I can. I'm trying to figure this out because I don't want to resort to using the stereotypical racing genre for this idea involving cars. I want it to be more focused on like manufacturing the cars. Uh, yeah, the more I think about this, the more I'm just seeing this as like a car simulation game. Okay, here's what I've got so far. So, these anime characters, they're already like, well made, but, no, these have already been, created, pre-created characters, but, they're set in an environment where you basically open up a small dealership that sells cars, motorcycles, and other moving vehicles. And then try to sell them to potential customers, like the way how you usually buy a car in general, but without the boring paperwork process. So I'm thinking you would have to order the vehicles first uh, with a line of credit. So essentially, you would have to use credit to your advantage in this game, whether you're skilled with it or not. Eventually, you would pay it off. It'll just stay with you. And it'll just be like you have a certain amount of time to pay this amount of credit for like let's say every 2 weeks in the game, and you would have to make a profit off the cars that you're selling. But the way how this works, like you buy the vehicles, you're in debt, okay? How can you make a profit? Uh, Try to sell to customers, but get them interested in buying a vehicle that they saw there that piques their fancy. Essentially, just putting like car dealership skills to the test. You have 3 tries to convince the customer to buy. And if you succeed within those 3 tries, then you can have them set up a payment plan to which they'll be able to pay off the vehicles in 6 months, as opposed to like a couple of years in real life. They have You have them set up a payment plan where they pay off the vehicle they want within like let's say 6 months, uh, which opens their which opens a line of credit for them, in which they eventually pay you back how much the car actually cost, in which from there their payments could be used to not only pay off the debt but also to develop the dealership some more in making it bigger and more successful, which would unlock some opportunities to promote your dealership some more in terms of advertisements, TV promos, etc., etc. Essentially, the goal for this is that you would operate a successful dealership in the end. essentially basically being a anime car dealership simulator, if you will. Since when was the last time you've ever heard of a car dealership simulator being brought up? Since you got all these simulator games, but yet a car dealership one hasn't really come up as much. So I guess that's my fifth idea. And I would imagine like you start off with like a basic car brand and then work your way up to the more prominent and well-known car brands, which it will cost you a lot, but how much they sell their vehicles for, it will pay off greatly in your favor, assuming that the customer wants to buy that, which they do. But you would also have to deal with the challenge of trying to convince them to pay that price for the vehicle they want. Anime car dealership simulator game where you sell cars and other automobiles to potential customers who want to own their own automobile, but it comes with the challenge of essentially convincing the customer to buy the car. And then other stuff that pretty much car dealerships, at least the name brand dealerships do, they open up like a repair shop there where returning customers can take their vehicle in for maintenance, essentially generating more revenue for your dealership in the process. So pretty much adventure capitalist with a car dealership mixed in with anime characters and such. No drama, just your run-of-the-mill car dealership simulator just with anime characters. And that's the fifth idea. So far, it's already been like an hour and 30. So that's good. I still want to keep going. I've already got 5 ideas down. I guess to review so far what I have. The first idea being anime. I'm just reading from what I have on my notepad. The first idea: anime survival open world game where you can create your own character to play in a survival world, collect resources, and discover the story of the game itself, etc., etc. The second idea: an anime colony sim game with custom-made characters while they develop and expand your colony with random events happening once in a while, depending on the difficulty set. And also having the option of adult mode where you can experience the game in its full 100% gameplay or 65% of it when you turn it off. When you turn it off. And then the third idea, an anime-made dungeon crawler where you can custom make your very own made waifus that enter crypts filled with deformed versions of animals and humans, while also looting the crypts to use items from there to upgrade, strengthen, and customize your mates further. Also allow for them to enjoy themselves after exiting the crypt. The fourth idea, an 18 plus anime, or an 18. Actually, I forgot to put the anime part in there. On that fourth idea, an 18, bleh, an 18 plus anime adult game set in the red light district during the Edo period of Japan, and moves forward to the 21st century as you, a young entrepreneur, will not only build this industry from the ground up, but establish the birth of the adult industry of Japan before reunification under the Meiji Restoration. There we go. And then the fifth idea is that car dealership simulator game, but with anime characters that I just discussed. Just to catch up to speed. I know that like there's these mobile games where you manage one anime girl and you just like hang out with her, chat with her, like essentially your virtual girlfriend, which already has like an unhealthy habit built to it anyway. And yeah, those games, I don't know how they became an idea, but they exist, which I am not gonna add to that, since that just encourages addicting behavior. And also possessive behavior, so yeah, don't want to include that as another idea. Okay, another idea, going back to Japan, uh, focusing on manga, or like, okay, not selling manga, but a concept where you replay or you put yourself into the manga as that character and then you live out the scenes in the manga. Kind of like playing a story, or like playing the agent story in Zenless Zone Zero, but in manga form, where you essentially just recreate what the manga does, but you get to like play it the way how you want it to go, rather than what the manga mentions. Which you have two options: either go the deviator route, or you just follow through what the manga wants you to do. Essentially, this game concept can give you the option to like deviate away from what the manga uh wants you to do. That, or just basically playing it after it's been created. But the game allows you two options. You can either play it the way how it's been written, or you get to play it the way how you want it to be written. Yeah, basically. Like it, you basically ask yourself this: what if I put myself into manga, but do things the way how I want it to do? Yeah, basically the choose your, or basically choose your own story, like with Baldur's Gate and all the other game and Skyrim, of course, like a choose your own adventure kind of game. But the game gives you like some manga to to not only like read through, or AKA play through as the story's being told, but you get to deviate it and make your own story or follow it through. Which with that, this is where I would bring achievements into the mix. Like one achievement example could be like let's see. Or one achievement if you do the deviated route for all the mangas available. The achievement title could be like "This is my path," in which you've successfully completed all the mangas your own way, or 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 for if you're doing it just the way how it's intended, it'd be by the book achievement. And I guess set a limit for those achievements. It'd be for the it. This is my path one. Just do like five, and then the same thing for the by the book achievement. Do like five mangas. Because I would envision this game like it does get updated regularly, and then when a major update comes, it just be basically two or three new mangas added into the game, or one major one, depending. As for copyrighted manga, well, that shit ain't gonna happen because Japan's notorious for winning legal cases with people who try to pirate their property. So yeah, just original manga for the game rather than just having to use existing manga from Japan, because yeah, the lawyers over there, they will fuck you up with a lot of legal shit. I mean, take a look at Nintendo. Okay, so then idea number 6. Sixth idea: play the manga as it's written and drawn, or deviate from it and create your own story. Different genres, yes, even the more sexy ones. So imagine that game would just be rated N for mature. Making a manufacturing type game without resorting to just using mass production and just let it do its thing. Since you got Satisfactory, but of course that would resort to mass production anyways. But it also comes with the headache of realizing that it's going to be inefficient sooner or later. Which is why I don't play Satisfactory shit or even Factorio to begin with. And Factorio is addicting. Or at least from what I've seen, that game's addicting. I imagine they've been playing Factorio for years. Or like when the game was released, probably. Let's Yeah, I think I think that game's like decently huge in gigabytes. So yeah, all the more reason to not install it if it's gonna eat up all your space. I don't play it because I already know the nature of how that game is addicting. I've seen videos, but yeah, just not that interested in pretty much wasting my time on it. I got Minecraft and that's enough for me. Next idea, something to do with science, but again, I'm bringing it back to Japan. Since we got uh since we got animal-like characters, you know, the half human, half animal types, like your typical Neko cat girls, your dog girls, or woman, wolf, bear. So how about an idea where you are a scientist, male or female, but you essentially play a story where you essentially become a scientist who plays God and successfully transforms humans into their half selves with animal DNA. And either they turn full animal and basically become an anthropomorphic character, or they turn into half human, half animal, in which they only have the traits of the animal and their parts. And maybe include like a little spicy moment where there's the potential of bestiality. So that's idea number 7. Idea number 7. A Japanese scientist who decides to play God by creating half human, half animal characters, using DNA from humans and animals and fusing them together to create them to tell a story of how they came to be and how they helped the scientist with their research. They get DNA and they get helpers to help them along the way. A genetic experimentation on creating the sexiest characters or just creating cute ones based on how you genetically modify their DNA and engineer them in real life. Let's see. There's already like a couple of games where you customize your room. It's mainly like one of those cozy type games where you just customize a room to your liking, and then you unlock more stuff to customize it further. That's already been done. There's already Dress Up Darling, so how about Dress Up Maidens? Just adult women, not necessarily on a fashion show, but they just love to cosplay. Let me see. Uh, kind of want to make this game idea for cosplay woman, like have like an agency, but knowing how shitty agencies have come, especially with VTubers these past couple of years, probably want to avoid that and instead just have these women who love to cosplay as like uh independent cosplayers. Like each of them tell their own story of the cosplays they do and why they love doing cosplay, not in general, and why they do certain types of cosplay. And yeah, I'm definitely gonna save these ideas. or I'm saving the notepad file so I can use that when I do get around to making this VOD into a video. Just so I can label it within my video of the idea that I'm talking about. And when I do get to edit this, it's definitely going to be interesting how I edit this. Since I'm definitely going to be using a lot of anime imagery. But also with certain ideas that I have here, I gotta keep it PG, you know, because YouTube. Because they demonetize the fuck out of your stuff if it's like remotely adult related. Even though I'm not even monetized, still. They just demonetize the fuck out of anything remotely mature. Cosplay, 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 cosplay. But I don't want to incorporate like an agency system to that game. If I want to do like the independent cosplayers. I have the idea. So, Japanese influencer. They go around Japan meeting all these famous or locally famous independent cosplayers, get to know them, and then hang out with them, but also attend their events in which they're doing their cosplay session. I'm guessing the way how this works is like, you meet them first, and then maybe exchange details, telling them that you're like a influencer that promotes these independent cosplayers, and then get to know them well, and then promote their work so that more people can get to know them even more. And then maybe, or eventually down the line, have them invite you to one of their cosplay sessions or to a convention to see them work at their cosplay, or to see them in their full cosplay of whatever character that they're cosplaying, male or female. Yeah, I see this as more of like a story game of getting to know these cosplayers. I envisioned like a friend system in this, and then a friend system, if eventually upgrading to a relationship system. And among who you have more of a relationship with the most, potentially end up marrying them, which would be one of the end goals. Yeah, this opens the door to a concept where you meet these cosplayers and you have the potential chance of maybe dating one, and the possibility, if all the conditions are met, to actually marry them. Only one. Only one. However, you can make many saves and then play each and every one of these cosplayers and choose one of each to marry in each of those saves. That's the idea. Okay, so that's idea number 8. A cosplay enthusiast influencer goes around Japan to meet independent cosplayers to befriend and hang out with during their sessions in both the photo shoots and conventions to eventually have the chance to be with them for a long time. Essentially, this mainly just becomes more of like a dating sim down the line as you become intimate with whatever cosplayer you meet and want to have more of a romantic relationship with. That's what I'm envisioning with that idea. Because I've never seen a game where there are some games that have like cosplayers, but do you date them though? I feel like there has been a game like that before. At least in like the anime circles, I feel like that game kind of exists. Alright, I'll be right back. I gotta pee. wrong scene. Alright, I'm back. I also wanted to go get a quick snack. Okay, so back to the ideas. You ever really. No, you never see like anime games whenever like characters or evil characters when they monologue. You just don't see like the main characters just like point a gun at them, bang, and then they just start dying to blood loss. Or they do that, but then they immediately start attacking you. Which is great if you don't want to hear them monologue all the fucking time. And just find out for yourself. Which is something that's been lingering on my mind for a while. For an idea. An adventure game where you can either, well, you have guns with you, so you can either hear enemies monologue or skip that shit and just shoot them dead. But you have the ability to read their brain and see what their final thoughts are, or what they've been plotting by just simply holding your hand above their head and then just start like reading their mind. Pretty much essentially using magic, but just concentrating it on your hand and then reading what they're thinking in their head after death. Kind of like with like those polymer things on people's sides of their heads in Atomic Heart, even after they die. So yeah. Except the only difference is that you read people's minds after death with the palm of your hand. So that's another idea. So I guess you're like the main character trying to find out what's been going on with the, I guess, random kidnappings or killings. But the problem with these villains is that they monologue a lot, so that just gives you the option to either listen to them or just skip that shit and to kill them entirely. Which gives you the option to read their minds just by having your hand above their head. So you can skip all of the dialogue shit. But then later down the line that becomes much harder. Since they'll probably just start attacking you first. Instead of monologuing altogether, which definitely speeds up the game. Okay, I think I got it. Evil corporations. Vigilante that's out to kill these sons of bitches, but read their mind on what they're really thinking. and then eventually reaching uh to the real enemy in the end. Pretty much a game concept for people who don't want to hear an entire monologue of what the villain's trying to say, and it's just like blast them and then just figure out the information afterwards. Followed like your by like your typical rush of enemies after they've been killed, but their bodies remain there. Either corporations or just evil people. This could just be applied to like a semi real life setting or a fantasy setting. But except you're given guns to just blast them to death. And you kind of fight like a gangster while doing that. So I guess that's my ninth idea. Monologuing. Vigilante out on a revenge run against evil entities who talk too much instead of listening to the monologue for a little while, blast them to death, and read their brains with the simple palm of your hand to discover the truth. Imagine just like slapping their head and see their reaction. That's also another thing you can do. Since you just be one of them ghetto vigilantes. Another idea coming to mind, but this time involving like matured adult characters. In appearance, here's what I'm going with. in appearance they are mature, like, age, appearance, all that. But here's the catch: they're actually goofy, and they actually just have an immature sense of humor. I mean, they look mature just to be quote unquote professional, but in reality, they love goofy shit, and they just love childish humor. How to turn that into a game concept, that's the question. Ah, fool, you take too long. I'ma kill you now. If someone on Twitch has stumbled upon my stream, soon to be a VOD, I wonder how they'd react to what the ideas that I mentioned here. It definitely would get people's brains thinking, that's for sure. Because of what I said here would be outside of what is considered like your typical anime game. It's just ideas like these definitely would give a spark to execute them. That's the other thing, if they want to or not. Because surely there's devs out there who would execute these ideas without fail. Although the way how they execute them, that's the question. Since it would most likely be very ambitious to create. Although that's, well, for some independent developers that hasn't been a problem, since they do just go in and update their game anyway. One thing that I also should take into consideration, I definitely know that some of these ideas, some devs would probably bastardize them. That's the scenario that I would imagine if these developers decide to pick up these ideas, that there's a chance that they might bastardize them. Although with the last idea I mentioned, that's alright. Since I feel like that idea that I mentioned last wouldn't even matter if it was bastardized or not, considering games of the past. I pause a lot during these, but it's just me trying to think. Which, when I do get to edit the swap, when I do get to editing the SWAT, I'm just gonna cut those out, of course. Imagine the video would probably be pretty long. This is something that I've been thinking a while ago when I was playing Doodle God at the time. What if Doodle God, but with VTubers, at least the more famous ones, from like Hololive and VShoujo? Because Doodle God, or at least the developers of Doodle God, won't implement something like that anyway, because they deal with the agency's bullshit of copyright and such. They just deal with the wrath of the VTuber agency's bullshit. Okay, so what I mentioned earlier about the mature adults, but they have a goofy side to them. That I feel like would definitely be more of like a story-driven type game. About them and their story, of what they like, etc. Which I'm envisioning all of them. Like, sure, they do enjoy like the mature stuff, but they also have a goofy side to them that they not devour, not digest. There's another word. That they do once in a while, or most of the time, when they're not being told to act their age and shit. Although they do it anyway because fuck the old fucks. Simple idea, but I think it could work. It's pretty simple since it's a story-based game. Game where you meet matured adults, but they tell you a story about what they like, which reveals a more fun side to them besides what society expects them to act. kiss method is always what's the kiss method? I have a full chair. Hey man, long time no see. Ish. How are you doing? Oh, keep it simple, stupid. Yeah, me and Knockers were just discussing ideas for like brand new anime game ideas. Ideas that and that like new anime games should try besides like, you know, the stereotypical ideas that you normally see with anime games. Amazing always that all metal share out. A chair for me? You shouldn't have. Yeah, so that's already 10 ideas right there. Okay. Although I don't want to do like a fighting type game. Although this is another idea, but it involves working with criminal investigation, where you try to capture criminals, but you actually get to beat the shit out of them until they can't move and you can arrest them. I know, a bit of police brutality for the most part, but that's the game idea. If you're still here, man, you got any ideas for like new anime game or for like a new anime game concept? That's besides, you know, what you typically know from anime games, period. Okay, so I got another idea. This time it involves Lego bricks or Lego pieces, but try to incorporate that with anime characters. Something that Lego will never do because they're because they will never cooperate with anything anime related. And by that I mean like the true anime experience, not like the PG shit that you normally hear. But even that, they still wouldn't cooperate with anything anime related. Because the point of Lego is that they're trying to be like a family friendly toy company. But what if you ignored that shit and just used Lego for mature stuff anyway? Like, it doesn't have to be explicit like character deaths, they just disintegrate into pieces like you usually see in Lego games. And then just build themselves back up and they're up and running. Either create this Lego anime game with like the usual minifigure characters, or utilize like Hero Factory slash Bionicle type characters, but of course, turning the pieces into more of like an anime figure style rather than like the typical bulky versions of how you see like the Bionicle slash Hero Factory characters. Essentially, the pieces being more like the statues or the figurines of anime characters that you see at stores or in online stores. Make it more. Okay, how about this? Make it like a couple of anime characters, but the isekai world in question is Lego, and they themselves turn into Lego characters. And basically, the goal they're trying to figure out how to leave that dimension, or how to leave the Lego dimension without any help from anyone, unlike the Minecraft movie, where basically you got Jack Black, Steve, trying to help those four people in the world. It is going to be like another story based, or sort or like a story playthrough game. There you go. But the characters are Lego minifigures. But they're not designed like the usual Lego characters are, at least in terms of the face. But their faces are definitely more detailed, besides like the simple smile and two dot eyes. they usually see with like the original Lego minifigures. And I'll tell you one thing, it's not gonna be made by Telltale, because them motherfuckers also are family friendly. And Telltale, they're known to be making like a lot of Legos games for consoles. Although not anymore considering the recent releases. And also they've already they've already went bankrupt a long time ago. I think from what I last checked. Okay, the idea. Anime characters, but uh, I'm a I'm a s- I'm a reiterate they are not in a school setting. Instead, they're just like some friends who've met each other after university. All have like the typical jobs, typical mundane jobs. But they got together one night, uh, decided to build a Lego set, but the Lego set in question felt odd enough that it isekai'd them to a new world made entirely out of Lego. They've all been unconscious, but once they woke up, they start to look around and realize that the environment's changed, and so have themselves. Took them a little while to realize, but they've all turned into Lego. And then yeah, they start to have a lot of confusion and panic. And then one of them calms them down, and then realizes that they've been isekai'd. And then from there, they develop the goal to try to get out of the Lego world and back into their normal world. And imagine, like, the adventures and all of that. They discover a lot of things during their time in the Lego universe. So, two guy friends, two girlfriends in this world. And I guess along the way, they learned how the Lego universe works and eventually grow accustomed to building and stuff. Eventually becoming master builders, like with Emmett from the Lego movie. So I think that's the 11th idea right there. Hang on, I'm gonna mute. Let's see. Okay, so idea number 11. Four adult friends who have been isekai to a Lego world and realize that they've been transported to this new world. Their goal is to leave this world, but they will soon discover what this world has to offer and what they can do to shape it. So, like most isekais, they end up just staying in that world and then actually grow accustomed to it. Since I would imagine their lives would be just boring. And now they get to live this second life, but as Lego minifigures, and eventually become master builders. And you know, the typical issues arise, and then they solve it using the power of building with, or the power of imagination and all that shit. Take Lego Universe, but turn it into an anime. Is what I'm going with. Is where I'm going with this idea. Take Lego Universe, like a multiplayer Lego game that shut down a decade ago, but turned that into an anime. That's the idea that I'm going with that idea. Because Japan, for some reason, they have yet to make an anime based on a Lego world. I mean, they can shit. They could just use 3D animation to make that happen, but I guess they don't want to. That, or it would just piss off the Lego group for some reason. Who fucking knows? Okay, I will do one more idea before I finish up the stream. Just so I can at least get like 3 hours out of it. You got the sidemen, the British YouTubers that just do, uh, whatever the fuck they feel like doing, honestly, amongst themselves. And then you got, Mythbusters, Adam and Jamie, just doing some science experiments. Storage wars, basically, just people, bidding for, each lot. But I feel like there was already a game of Storage Wars that already exists. Maybe as a simulation game. Making a game based on a TV show, it can only go so far. Hmm. I feel like Storage Wars can be turned into like a game concept with anime characters. I would imagine like it'd be it'd be like level based where you go into the level and you're presented with like I don't know 3 or 4 different storage shelves, and then I guess your goal would be like to bid on all 4 or 3 of them, or only bid on certain ones that you think might make you profit. Essentially, the concept that's uh from the TV show Storage Wars. But you know that one bastard that always keeps bidding more and more. The yup guy. Except if I were to put this in Japan, they wouldn't do that. But what if they did it with empty land? Just how about instead of bidding on storage crates, they bid on land instead and see what they can build and try to see who would want to buy what's built on the land. Either the land itself or what's been built on it, and they take it with them. Land, random shit on the land, which everyone's gonna see anyway, so it's fair game. Actually, no. Everything will be covered, and they still had to bid blindly, and then after they bid and win the plot, then they get to see. Yeah, so the concept of storage wars, but set in Japan, you have these big pieces of land, but they got stuff on it that's covered, and you have to bid blindly to win that land, and then you get to see what's there and try to make a profit from what's there left behind. You either find pure junk or you find something actually worth its value, or you can bullshit the price and then yeah. I think that'll be my 12th and last idea there. 12th. Hmm. Let's say yes. Let's say yes, but you don't know if if that item you see as the hint would be actually worth its value or not. That's what would make the game a much more engaging. Like you think that item's worth a lot, but you don't know if it really is worth a lot or not. That's the thing. That's really how storage wars works out. Like you think an item's worth so much in value, in which in this concept you can choose like how much you want to sell that item for until you get it appraised, like in the show. Okay, 12th and last concept. Play as a land bidder to see if the items on the land are worth a lot. Uh, or. That's supposed to be or, not if. My bad. Or you've lucked out like in the show Storage Wars. Like rather than bidding on storage crates, you're just bidding on the land that's covered. Like those blue, I don't know, not Velcro, like a giant blue denim sheet. I don't know what they're called. But yeah, they're covered and you just have to rely on your knowledge of bidding blindly. Essentially, you just gotta bid and hope that the items there are worth their value. So to imagine how this would work, like you get to see all three of these pieces of land, and then you just bid. And if you want to stop bidding, then you just stop with whatever you've got. And then afterwards, you can go see what you've bidded on, and then hope that you've definitely earned something. You pretty much get to look around, look at the items, and see what you have before taking it to an appraiser, and see if you made your money's worth back on what you've bid. Pretty much like in Storage Wars. That's the point. Oh shit. If a game like this was streamed, oh, imagine the reactions. Imagine the reactions when they got shit items. Imagine the reactions when they get shit items. I think that concept would just be a pretty good legacy to Storage Wars. Like if a game concept like that was created, it'd be a very good legacy to Storage Wars. At least in my opinion. Oh yeah, 47 Rage, he's gonna be making bank for a good while if that concept exists. 47 Rage is definitely gonna have bank for months. Yeah, they have to capture the rage when they realize their bidding amounts in the red. When they realize that the items that they're trying to sell are just shit in price. They're just that shit in price. Okay, I did say that I was gonna do like a full review of all the ideas that I came up with. So, first idea, anime survival open world game where you can create your own character to play in a survival world, collect resources and discover the story of the game itself, etc., etc. And, down the line, I kind of like moved away from like the customization part and more towards like other ideas for anime games, more on the story and like the more cheeky way of playing. Second idea, an anime colony sim game with custom made characters while they develop and expand your colony with random events happening once in a while depending on the difficulty set, and also having the option of adult mode where you can experience the game in its full 100% gameplay or 65% of it when you turn it off. Third idea, an anime made dungeon crawler where you can customize or let me third idea, an anime made dungeon crawler where you can custom make your very own made waifus that enter crypts filled with deformed versions of animals and humans while also looting the crypts to use the items from there to upgrade, strengthen, and to customize your mates further. Also allow for them to enjoy themselves after exiting the crypt. Fourth idea, an 18-plus anime adult game set in the red light district during the Edo period of Japan and moves forward to the 21st century as you, a young entrepreneur, will not only build this industry from the ground up but establish the birth of the adult industry of Japan before reunification under the Meiji Restoration. Fifth idea, an anime car dealership simulator game where you sell cars and other automobiles to potential customers who want to own their own automobile, but it comes with the challenge of essentially convincing the customer to buy the car. Sixth idea, play the manga as it's written and drawn, or deviate from it and create your own story. Different genres, yes, even the more sexy ones. Seventh idea, a Japanese scientist who decides to play God by creating half-human, half-animal characters using DNA from humans and animals, and fusing them together to create them to tell the story of how they came to be and how they helped the scientists with their research. The eighth idea, cosplay enthusiast influencer goes around Japan to meet independent cosplayers to befriend and hang out with during their sessions in both the photo shoots and conventions to eventually have a chance to be with them for a long time. Essentially just to marry them. Ninth idea, vigilante out on a revenge run against evil entities who talk too much, and instead of listening to them monologue for a little while, blast them to death and read their brains with the simple palm of your hand to discover the truth. Yeah, it's a good thing I'm not re-recording doesn't turn uh, If I was doing like a documentary style video, then I would have to re-record that. But this is a stream, so yeah. 10th idea: a game where you meet mature adults, but they tell you a story about what they like, which reveals a more fun side to them besides what society expects them to act. The 11th idea: for adult friends who have been isekai to a Lego world and realize that they've been transported to this new world. Their goal is to leave this world, but they will soon discover what this world has to offer and what they can do to shape it. And then the final idea: play as a land bidder to see if the items on the land are worth a lot if you lucked out like in the show Storage Wars. There you go. 12 ideas. Just look waiting for a developer to take them into consideration and make the game happen. Could be years until concepts like these come to life. But yeah, that's what I'm proposing. And also 12 challenges for any game dev out there who wants to take those ideas and turn them into a game. So that will total 13 challenges of games to create right there from me, LeniriGaming. Yeah, I think that's it there, so I'm just gonna find someone to raid. Definitely a good topic stream. And just properly doing it with like a stream setup overlay, so it works out. Okay, I went through my list of streamers to rate. Turns out only Crow's streaming right now, so I'll take it to him. And they're streaming that one Breaking Bad parody game right now called Schedule 1. So definitely looking forward to editing this VOD, turning it into a video soon enough. But yeah, that's my ideas for new anime games there. And I'll leave you be with them. So, take care and have a good one.
You do.
Like for no, but I mean like for the
yeah,
businesses. Yeah. Hi, Len. Welcome on in.
You definitely
Turn down for what?
Thanks for the raid. Let me give you a shout out.
Turn down for what?
Which is currently how I'm offloading a bunch of my
Turn
cash.
down
And
for what?
I've been paid up for the fucking month. Just keep making meth. I'll
Yeah,
buy
you
you
can
shit.
just throw things in the drops, just not worry about it. I do like that they just take what they're owed out of it and just leave the rest.
Feel a little lost that came in. Yeah, but no worries. Life
Yeah,
happens.
'cause if
People check out other stuff. It's all good. Thanks for popping in. What were you getting up to today? Sorry, Beef.
I was just gonna say if they took more than that, then we would have much bigger, very more violent issues. I've made Girl Scout bud.
Makes sense.
Welcome to Jurassic Park.
Hi,
I
May.
know what I need to mix with it.
Hello, May.
Wham, wham, wham. Wham, wham. Always a delight.
Bunch of Thin Mints.
Yeah, we're just selling Thin Mints.
In one of my playthroughs, I had one that was a Girl Scout thing, and then I mixed it with something, and it was strawberry cookies, and I was like, alright, it tracks. May. ...
May.
You're
Hell
being
yeah.
so productive today. What are you doing?